Okay, this is AFDA. We're going to work through some example problems today on the videos that I'm going to get uploaded. So this first one is off the Unit 2A classwork worksheet, which you got, I believe Monday is when I first saw you, so it had to be Monday when you got it. The problem asks us to find the slope of the line. I'm going to do that two different ways, and I'm also going to do a little bit of an extension and talk about how we find the equation of a line from the graph. So first off, like we talked about, what we want to do is figure out what the slope of our line is. The way that we do that is by finding points where our graph crosses the exact numbers of an x-axis, or on the grid where it crosses an exact point. And let me zoom in for you. So an example, we have right here and here and here, we have our line crossing at exact points on the grid. So we can talk about the exact actual coordinates of those. What we don't want to do is to pick some point that's in the middle of a box, like this right here. Because what that does, we can't be very precise about what that value is in the x or the y direction. Just a brief note, some of you were asking as well during the week. This is my y-axis. This is my x-axis. So the x-axis always goes left to right. The y-axis always goes up and down. Or to put it more specifically, the x-axis is horizontal and my y-axis is vertical. So 2 points. Let's find 2 points on my line. I'm going to pick here, and that is the point -5 in the x direction, +2 in the y direction. So that's the point -5, 2. And zooming out again so we can see the other point. Let's say right here. So x is 1, 2, 2 in the -x direction, and -4 in the y direction. So I have 2 points. And if you hear voices in the background, that is my family yelling to each other from floor to floor because, God forbid, we walk up and down the stairs. So our slope formula and remember we said it doesn't really matter which point we choose as x1 and which point we choose as x2. So I'm going to make this my x2, y2, and I'll make this my x1, y1. But again, it doesn't really matter. I could have chosen this to be my x2, y2, and this to be my x1, y1. As long as you're consistent, it doesn't really make a difference. So let's plug in. So y2 is 2, y1 is -4, x2 is -5, and x1 is -2. One thing I need to point out where some of us made mistakes at during the week was right here is we're subtracting that coordinate, so we have to keep that negative sign there. So it's minus that negative, minus that negative. One of the things we made a mistake with this week, we would just put one of these here and then subtract. The reason why we can't do that is that essentially those negative signs right here end up canceling out, and we end up with that problem. So make sure that as you're doing this, you are taking account and copying down your coordinates accurately. So 2 + 4 gives me 6, and -5 + 2 gives me -3. If I simplify that, that should just give me -2. Now, one of the other things that we talked about this week is we would get this whole number for our slope. And we know that slope is defined as being the rise over the run. And so the problem we ran into was, how do we address the fact that this is a whole number and there doesn't seem to be a denominator underneath here? Very simply, we write this whole number as a fraction. And so we will write it as -2 over 1. Okay? And so that means our rise is going to be -2. And our run will be 1. So that means we're going to go down 2 and to the right 1. Or we can go up 2 and to the left 1. And we'll say that a little bit about more here in a second. So let's test out. So I should be able to go from here. I should be able to go up 2 and to the left 1. And I should hit it because it's negative slope. So I should be able to go up 2, went to the left 1, and I hit the line. Let's do it the opposite way. Let's say I go down 2 and to the right 1. Down 2 and to the right 1. So I went 2 down and to the right 1, and I still hit the line. So when we talk about a negative slope, and again, this was something people had questions about, it doesn't really matter if I go left or right, up or down, just that I make sure I account for it being negative. So I can go down to account for the negative, or I can go left to account for the negative. Now, when my slope is positive, and I'll just use this sheet over again. When my slope is positive, we always go up and to the right. So a good way for us to think about this is that when we're graphing slope, if my slope is negative, I'm going to go down and to the right, or I'm going to go up and to the left. Okay? So again, when I do my slope, when I count my slope, when I count from point to point, I either go down and to the right or up and to the left. Either one is fine. If my slope is positive, I'm always going to go up and to the right. Always. So that's the end of the first one. I'll do 2B and 2C here in a minute. Make sure you review the videos.